Guys, first let me apologize for being away for so long, but my life has been literally insane right now, and I'm telling you, the volume on video is going to be a little bit lower because of it. I'm still going to try to be on TikTok for a while because it's just easier to respond to you guys, but when it comes to this topic, you guys deserve a full-length, full-scale video because today we're going to be talking about test gates. Yes, Russian test gates occurred, and there is a lot to talk about. First, I also want to touch on the fact that a lot of people wanted me to talk about this, and I considered talking about it on TikTok, but I was like, there's not really much to say besides, damn, I can't believe that happened, or oh no, what does it say about the state of Russian skating and can it survive? That is essentially that a student of Yulia, which is to many people the first victim, the first star of Petrie, got suspended for 5 years for doping. There was meldonium and some other banned substance in their system, and the student got banned for 5 years. And so a lot of people were like having parallels with Petrie because, you know, they've had their fair share of scandals when it comes to doping, even though it's never traced back to them. And I don't really have much to say about that besides the fact that I can't believe it happened. I'm so sad that it happened. I don't know many details. I haven't read up on the age of the student, but I imagine that they're young, and it's just unfortunate that now this student, this skater, is just now banned for actions which probably involved more people than themselves. And yeah, that's just something that I wanted to comment on because a lot of people wanted me to talk about it, but it didn't feel appropriate just to make a TikTok to be like, well, that sucks. And I can't believe it, and also I can't believe it. It's not surprising, it's disappointing situation. Now let's jump right into test gates because there is a lot to say. First of all, I was surprised by the fact that it was so packed. That rink was packed to the brim of fans. I don't know if there's just people missing figure skating or if it was a slightly smaller rink or figure skating love in Russia is not waning at all and it's just only in the ratings of the figure skating competitions. It was strong. There was a lot of fanfare. There was a lot of fandom. And I think the main reason was because their biggest star right now, besides Camila Vala, is Alexandra Trusova. And Miss Alexandra Trusova decided to show up at test gates. This doesn't surprise me because there was a lot of rumors that she was trying to be competitive. Then she started releasing videos on her Instagram of her doing very, very difficult jumps, a lot of quads, a lot of high-tech stuff. When it comes to her, you know, she's all about the technical points. And so it was kind of confirming what the rumor said, which is that she was trying to get back into the game. With what purpose? I do not know. Is she truly trying to get to another Olympics? If that's even in the cards for Russia? Is she just trying to prove to herself that she can still do it? Is it the federation, as it was rumored, that is like, hey, figure skating is kind of falling off and we don't have any new stars being generated. We need you back. And she was by far, I think, the biggest draw as the crowd was just eating her up and rooting and cheering for her at every single moment. Literally, she did a cantilever for about 0.5 seconds and the crowd went berserk. But you know what? She deserved that. She has definitely put in the work to be one of the biggest stars and get that amount of fanfare. But you know what? Let's talk about what it is that she did on the ice. I will say when it comes to Trusova and Kostorная, I was able to find both their short program and their free program. And for some reason, Adelina Pan as well. But everybody else, I can only find their free program and I can't find a link to the full competition. So I'm just going to be talking very high level, very briefly about the programs I could find online. For Miss Trusova, I was able to see her short and her free. In the short, first of all, Spanish song. Everybody knows I love when people have a song in Spanish because it forces you to be a little more passionate, a little bit more brazen, and a little bit more, you know, intense in your movement. And I think Trusova did that emotionally and choreographically, and she started strong. Like, I was impressed when the program began, but then she started to falter a little bit. What got her was specifically the combination jump. She did the first one, and then the second one she almost fell. She kind of popped it / fell out of it. And then in the long program, the problems persisted. Also, can we talk about that free program is very Cruella de Vil inspired, which is, I wouldn't do, after the trauma she did in the Olympics, I would not do anything related, even closely related to Cruella de Vil. Like, when she had that heavy makeup, I had war flashbacks of her crying it off at the Olympics. So the fact that she's wearing a very similar dress, very similar hair, and extremely similar, even maybe more intense makeup than the one she had in Cruella, kind of shocked me that she would want to get back into that similar theme and mindset. But when it comes to this program, it was not a strong performance at all. And should we blame it on the Cruella de Vil inspired makeup? Maybe, because it was not good. She had falls. She started with a fall, and then it just kind of kept going. She never really got back on her feet, truly. Like, yeah, she landed some jumps here and there, but once that first fall happened, I think she kind of deflated a little bit. But honestly, she was here because she wants to prove it to herself, I believe, and the crowd was loving her. So she is definitely the biggest star of Russian figure skating right now in the competitive sense. Camila Vala, the actual biggest star, was not present. And everybody else is soft retired. So Trusova truly has all the cards in her hand. Let's just see if she can take her star and apply it to getting some medals. Miss Camila Vala, as I said, was not present. And when I looked up what she was currently doing, the latest piece of media that I saw was her talking in a Russian program about another ice show that she's going to be starring in. But I was not ready for the blonde bob. Like, what? It's not really exactly a bob. It's more of like a little short shag, 70s style look. But when did she go blonde? I genuinely thought it was a wig. But yeah, so Camila Vala was following the long line of the stars behind her in the Petrie legacy, which is they have become now influencers, models, and mainly get their living through skating in ice shows. And that's what Camila Vala was doing. So Trusova has, I wouldn't say the road is open, but she has a very higher chance of making a mark now that Camila Vala has kind of bowed out of the race. And because we're talking about Trusova, we need to talk about her husband, because her husband was also there. And surprisingly to me, he performed. Like, I know he skates, but he's never been able to skate at a high level when it comes to the Russian scene. He's, soared high enough to be competitive, but he never kind of makes it there. He always misses the mark. He's kind of like a top 10 guy. He's always 8th, 9th, around there. But you know what? I love the fact that we could get the messy cameraman panning to him and her whenever the other one was performing. It was very telenovela, and I enjoyed it. What did I not enjoy was his berry blonde hair, which is already growing out. And then I was not ready for the chest hair. Like, the contrast between the black chest hair and the blonde hair, for some reason, was very jarring to me. Also, they both started their programs with voiceovers. Can anyone tell me what the hell was being said in the voiceovers, especially for Trusova? Because Trusova's sounded a little bit like her. Like, was that her voice? Was she saying something like, I will rise again like the phoenix, I will prove myself? Was it something more cryptic? I don't know. But he also had a program that started with a voiceover, and he also was in black. They kind of both looked very emo next to each other. So that was kind of cute, funny. And he did, Makar does what Makar does, which is he did well enough, but he also didn't do well enough. He was mid, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I love that they were both there together. I love that they color coordinated their free programs, at least, because I couldn't see Makar's short or only his free. And for the free, they both did equally mediocre. I would say actually Makar did a little bit better because Trusova fell, and I don't think Makar did. So there's that. And speaking of married couples, guess who else is here? Miss Little Devil herself, Aliona Kostornaia, and her husband, who actually, unlike Makar and Trusova, who just perform separately, Aliona and her husband perform together in pairs. And first of all, Aliona Kostornaia is reusing this dress. When I saw this dress, I went, wait, is this like an old program? Because the dress is from one of her old programs. For a second there, I was like, am I seeing the right video or not? I believe it was from her Adios Nonino or some other angel-inspired program, but I've seen that dress before. You do not fool me with that little Grecian leaf crown thing you have going on. And Aliona Kostornaia and her husband, I keep forgetting his freaking name. What's his name? Whatever, her husband, that's how I know him, did fine. I don't think they did bad. I think they did okay, but I don't even see them being close to being competitive in Russia. Like, they are still far off from being chosen to go internationally, from being chosen to be in the Olympics, if that is even a possibility. Like, they to me still have a long way to go. During the side-to-side jumps, Aliona pops, sometimes he doesn't make it either. They're still not in sync when it comes to their spins. They still need a lot of tightening up to do. They have it down when it comes to the basics, and when it comes to, actually, I wouldn't even say the emotion. They need more emotion. For a married couple, they're not selling me on the love story and the passion and the intensity that comes when you're skating in pairs. Like, you need to sell me on it. And I know it was more of a dreary program, at least the free program, but still, I need more connection from them, which is odd to say because they're married. But yeah, they did all right. I was just kind of happy that she was there because you know who else was there? Miss Anna Shcherbakova, not as a skater, but as a presenter. And it just felt very emotional to see 3A at test skates in all very different points of their life. Now Aliona is at Paris and married. Trusova is also married and still competing or trying to. And Anna Shibakova has taken a step back, as has every single gold medalist from the Petrie girls, and is now presenting, which is what Sagitova did. So it just is kind of emotional to see them all together. And Shcherbakova had some very nice words to share about Trusova. She said that she was very excited about Trusova's performance because whenever she sees Trusova on the ice, she gets emotional / excited because she feels like she's going on the ice, putting to rest any rumor that's remaining of them having some sort of bad blood, even though I think that rumor was put to rest when she showed up to the wedding. I think all of our hearts grew 2 sizes. But she's now here as a presenter, and I don't know, it's just so emotional and a little bit shocking to see them still in the circuit. The babies, when I came into the sport, you know, they were the youngers, they were the juniors, they were about to be seniors, and now they're, you know, veterans that by going to that Olympics and going through what they went through, and now they're back here and they're following different paths, one in pairs, one in singles, and another one in influencing. And it's just so nice that they're still kind of in the same trajectory, but in 3 very different ways. I don't know. That was very nice to see, and I think the internet also loved it a lot. Also present at test skates was the ex, Mark Kundriatuk, the first boyfriend, the first half of the it couple that Trusova makes. And Mark did amazingly well. Again, only saw his free program, couldn't find his short program, but he did shockingly well. I was like, oh my God, Mark is ready to beat ass. Like, he is ready to take a competition. He did the best out of everyone I saw, men or women. His costumes are always very entertaining, and it was only halfway that I realized what the costume was meant to be, because I realized that he was doing Bollywood-esque moves and it was an Indian song. So I was like, okay, I did not expect this coming from you, little white boy. But he did it really well. And his jumps, he had so much air. He was so confident. He was landing everything. Like, he had a performance. Like, this is something he will remember. This is a performance that he will remember because he did so well. And I liked his costume. He's the only man that truly tries to be different and tries to give us, you know, some edge and creativity and embraces the theatricness and campness that is within figure skating inherently. So I always like Mark, honestly. If I was through, so I would have stayed with Mark. I like him so much. There's something about his personality that's very endearing. And even though he's literally a child, at least in my eyes. But I don't know. He did so well, and it took me aback because everybody else was just popping everywhere. This was the popping competition. I don't know what happened. They were popping and locking it everywhere. But Mark knocked it out of the park. Don't know if that was the case for a short program, but during the free, wowed me. And then, of course, Team Petrie is also present. Let's go to Miss Ignativa, the heir that never was. She was supposed to kind of take over the world after Camila Vala would step down. Camila Vala hasn't really stepped down till now. So let's see if she steps up. However, Ignativa, remember, we haven't seen her for a while because she's been riddled with injury for as long as I can remember. It's been almost 3 years, I feel like. And at first, her jumps were consistent, although to my eyes they lacked a bit of power. Again, this her free program was not able to locate her short. And was it just me, or did she also look slow? And when I saw that combination of like lethargicness with like tiny jumps, she didn't fall and she wasn't popping, but she was having jumps that lacked a little bit of something. It almost felt like she was simplifying her jumps to ease her something, and that worried me because I really hope she wasn't performing with injury and that she genuinely fully recovered before accepting to be in test skates. Again, to her credit, all the jumps were stable and she didn't have any fall or pops, but there might have been some simplification of jumps, and there was something there that worried me. Maybe it is the fact that I know that she's injury prone, but something tells me that she's just not 100% back. She's not 100% required. And it seems like Petrie is just as concerned as I am, because when they showed her on the screen, she looked full of worry. Like, her face was just worry. Also, I've never seen her wear white. Is she trying to rebrand or something? Like, I've never seen her wear this much white in her life. But she was not happy with the performance. And also, Akatieva looked a little worried as well. So, I don't know. What struck me the most is kind of like the tentativeness of her jumps, the lack of power, and my suspicion that she is not 100% back physically. And I'm just hoping that she can prove to us that she is by performing with a little bit more confidence and maybe a little bit more difficult jumps if she can. I don't know. Akatieva, to me, has a really sad story. She was supposed to be a Camila Vala, but is now looking more like a Daria Soshova. If you don't remember Daria was basically, her theme song was basically Never Enough because she didn't have the Ultra C elements. She never kind of made it to the top of the fanfare or the podium. She was always just below, always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of moment. And Akatieva's kind of giving that energy now because of just the sheer amount of injuries she's had, the amount of time she's been out. Now the Russians aren't even performing internationally, competing internationally, and now she's back. It's giving fragile and teetering on the edge. I don't know, there's something about her performance that made me feel like, oof, this could go one of two ways. And if it goes the other way, I fear she might get injured again. But yeah, then we move on to the other Tutberitsa girl, Adelia Petrosian. And for some reason, I was able to find her show program, so I'm a very dedicated fan, uploaded it. And she did well. She did well enough. And I wasn't a fan of the program itself, but the program itself was performed all right. Now, when it came to her free, she started with a pop. Surprising, not a great start. And then it bled into her second jump where she popped again, which was very demoralizing because I feel like Adelia Petrosian has never really had her moment. She's always been trying to get her moment, but she's never consistent enough to have it, which is ironic because she looks so much like Evgenia Medvedeva, who was, Miss Stability herself. But thankfully, she did find her rhythm eventually within the program. She started landing all her jumps, and there was power, and there was motivation. There was, a little more confidence in her choreography after she started, feeling the jumps and actually landing them. And although I didn't love her program, even though I love a Latin program, everybody knows I love a Latin program, but it being a tango of all things, I feel like she lacked passion. She lacked a little bit of that Latin fire, which is, the risk of choosing a Latin program. You might look like you're not Latin enough if you don't, give it that oomph. And also didn't like the dress. I feel like Delia has never really found not just her moment when skating. Actually, no, she's had moments, but she's never had like an era. She's never really had a consistent era. And on top of that, I don't feel like she's ever found her identity. Like everybody else is very clear identities. Trusova is the athletic one, the strong one. They encapsulated that very well with her Game of Thrones program, and then just consistently, the Russian rocket persona, everything, Russian quad revolution, quad queen, like she's stable, that persona's satisfied there. Anna Shcherbakova was the good girl. She was the one that was nice but had a little bit of an edge within her. They did that super well with her, oh my god, what was it? Was it called Phoenix? It was the one where she changed the dress, where she was like super nice, super sweet, and then the dress changed in color, and that showed exactly what she was, which is a very good, nice girl, a little more quiet than the rest, but she had this edge where she could push through, the Shibakova power of will is a true freaking thing, and she always somehow figured out to come out on top. It was the slow but steady. That was her thing. The power of will and the slow but steady. You didn't see her coming, but she always got the crown somehow. Winning basically every Russian nationals and then getting literally the Olympic gold medal. She always had the last laugh. And then Aliona Kostornaia was very much the angelic looking, but very charismatic and very spunky, let's say, performer. Even though that was mostly because of her outside off the ice persona. On the ice, she was very angelic looking. And then it was until her vampire program that she showed a little bit more edge on the ice and showed her true, fun, sassy personality. But when it comes to Adelia, I feel like I don't really know her. I know she's tiny. I know she's one of the younger Petrie girls. And much like Akatieva, I feel like they kind of got lost in the sauce. They kind of got lost in the midst there between the pandemic and the ban and everything else. And I don't know. I don't know what Adelia's future holds. But what I'm hoping it holds is stability. And then also at this competition was Vasilisa herself, who was out here performing with her partner Maxim, no longer with Valeri. And from what I can tell, Valeri was nowhere to be found at this competition. I don't know if he's found a new replacement. I think he's gone already through two different partners, and I haven't seen any footage of him. yet. I should probably check his Instagram though. And as expected, Vasilisa and Maxim skated beautifully. Like the movement that they had, the story, the chemistry, guys, the chemistry was palpable between them. Commend them for building up that relationship and that chemistry in such a short amount of time. Because I remember her and Valerie were skating since they were basically children, like very, very young. So for them to get that chemistry and that flow and those movement and that trust in such a short amount of time, I commend them, and it gives a lot of credit to Vasilisa and her skill. The lifts were beautiful, the dress was beautiful, the emotion. I really, really love them. It was transfixing, I would say. However, I still need to be sold more on their love story. As much as the chemistry was there and it was palpable, I'm still not in love with them being in love. And unfortunately, when it comes to ice dance, that's kind of half the battle. You need to sell me on the story. There are two actors performing a love story. It's always a love story when it comes to pairs, unless they're siblings, and then it's a familiar love story. But yeah, I think me personally, I'm gonna need to see them perform together a few more times. I'll see if I can find a short program. I should be able to, but I'm sure they skated beautifully as well. I don't know, I have a good feeling about this partnership. He's a little bit more mature and older, so it gives a little bit more of an edge to their performance. And I'm just gonna need a bit more time to fall in love with both of them together, because I am a fan of hers right now. I'm not sure if I'm a fan yet of her and Maxim together. But it was just exactly what I expected, but I would be lying if I said that I'm not excited for when they do come face to face, when Valerie finally does perform in competition, if he even does, and Vasilisa is at that same competition. That's when the excitement will truly fill my bones, and I'm curious to see how Valerie does with a new partner and who this partner might be. And yeah, that was test skates. It was just honestly, I don't know if I would call it a feel-good event. It was more of a popping event. It kind of got me excited again for skating. I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of been putting it on the back burner since we're in the low season is gonna pick up again. So now that it has started, it has gotten me excited again for skating. It's always a good way to kind of see where everybody's at. I can't believe where everybody's at when I think about where we started. 2 married children, in my opinion. 2 married young women, still competing in the scene. 1 presenter, and then the older crop, which is not even that much. It's not even old at all. You know, Sagitova, Medvedeva, and Camila Vala all have kind of resigned themselves to a different sort of career. And yeah, I'm excited to see who brings themselves up. You know, is Trusova going to be able to be stable in her free? Is Shcherbakova gonna be commenting at every competition? Is Alona Kostornaia and her husband ever gonna be in sync? I feel like they're always off when it comes to the spins, in my humble opinion. Somebody I didn't talk about, rounding out Brushenko's team, was Sophia Mava, who had a beautiful program. I loved her costume. It was like this white winged dress. It was very, very gorgeous. And you know what? Do we need another Black Swan program? No. Did she look great and perform great? Yes, she did. Well, at least in the beginning. She did very, very well in the beginning. And honestly, what gets me most about her is her movement. Her movement is gorgeous, even though she does have a little bit of a always nervous looking face, but she kind of does so well in her choreo and her movement and her skating skills, in my opinion, that I kind of look past that nervous looking face, unlike Lindsay Thorngren, who has a always crying face. But then Sophia Mava started popping. She popped twice. At the first time, I didn't even really catch it. I was like, was that supposed to be a jump or a pop? And then she popped the next one, and I was like, ooh, okay, so that was 2 pops. But then she didn't let it rattle her. She gathered herself, and she kept landing, and she kept moving through it, and she did great. This was the only program where I loved everything. I loved the music, I loved the costume, I loved the performance, even though it had 2 pops. I loved their interpretation of the movement. I loved everything. Sophia Mava gained a fan. Like, my top 2, honestly, in what I saw is Mark Kundriatuk's free program and Sophia Murava's free program when it comes to ladies. I am concerned. Actually, I don't know if I'm concerned. I guess I am concerned about the state of Team Tutberitse. Like, they feel like they're crumbling at the seams. It feels like the end of an era. Somebody did tell me about like a younger, newer talent that they have. Let me know if they were at the competition and I just didn't know to search them up because I don't know their name. But when it comes to Adelina Pan, I feel like they're stagnant, and I think there's not going to be that much change or improvement from what we saw today. I might be wrong. God knows, I hope I'm wrong, and they soar and succeed and exceed all my expectations. But it feels like what I saw is what I'm gonna get. When it comes to Team Plushenko, we have obviously Trusova and Muravieva, Sophia Muravieva, and I am very excited about Sophia Muravieva. Like, her program, her movement has always enthralled me, and I can't wait to see if she finally gets the recognition she deserves, because she also really hasn't had an era or a moment because she hasn't been stable. Trusova is the star of the show, but let's see if she can live up to that expectation. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation, I'm sure, not just from the fans, but also from the federation, who probably give her a pretty big incentive to come back into competition. So I'm hoping that she can carry that weight that comes with her name. And she can prove to herself that she is a great skater, and that, you know, that trauma that she lived before, it's, you know, transient and it'll pass. And then Kostorная, I just hope that her and her husband get in sync and they finally, you know, can show me a glimmer that they can be competitive. It's just that Paris is so competitive in Russia, probably the most competitive, honestly, besides the ladies. So I don't really have that much hope because they just started. They're still babies when it comes to this discipline. And yeah, that's test skates. I don't know if I missed anything. I'm sure I did. Couldn't even watch every single program. I couldn't find a link to the whole competition, and I'm doing this very last minute because I want to give you guys a video. And I did watch every performance and I did enjoy it, so you deserve video. If I watch it, you guys get to hear about it. I will cover anything that I missed on TikTok probably, so make sure to follow me there and tag me there for anything else you wanted me to talk about. And as always, shout out to some new VIP patrons who have joined me very recently. I'm guessing it's because I haven't been uploading. I'm so sorry. And their names are Molly, one that is terrifying me, called The Ghost of Petrie, and that is it. The typical ones like Tori V, Natalia, Timothy, I haven't said the name in a long time, and Leslie. As always, shout out to you guys for supporting me for so long. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.